Where does exorcism come in? I mean, is there a point that you get to that something like that needs to be applied as treatment?
And Trey, that's kind of what we're talking about when we were mentioning deliverance ministry. The kind of antique view would be an exorcism. That would be the word probably. And again, exorcism does not look like that at all. It looks more like what it is in the important. We just rest in God's love. We kind of really connect with the person's heart where that entity is oppressing the person, and we just stay connected to the person's heart, and we really just very quietly, not yelling. There's no flailing. There's no objects flying in the room. We just say,
holy water.
No, we just say, the Lord rebuke you, watcher.
Does the entity ever come up and have a conversation with you during treatment?
I don't typically involve conversation, but yes, they will try to have us cross out of love, whether it would be they try it'll look like the person is being being antagonistic towards me. They'll swear, they'll this, and we understand the person's heart. So then we'll just kind of rest back. If you kind of draw out, they're drawing a line and saying, if you draw out and go towards that line, you've lost. So you just stay back in love and you stay connected to that person's heart where the Spirit of God dwells in that person, and you just continue exactly what Sabi did. Just addressed what Yahweh wants done in that moment, and it leaves.
Yeah, because what you're describing, I mean, we've all either seen on YouTube or you hear about exorcisms, typically maybe a Catholic priest or in some deliverance context, and it's always a lot of shouting. It's always involving some sort of renunciation. It's always say this or that thing.
No.
And you're saying, we don't do any of that.
No. And in fact, what happens is when you have a flail...
And that's also where the understanding of divine counsel comes in. See, when the person understands their authority, then they can make a choice of their own. And those entities, they don't have power.
It goes back to whom do you serve, right? At that moment, they're choosing whom they're going to serve because they have their mind. See, when you have a typical exorcism kind of thing going on, and you've got someone that has a full-blown perpetrated system and they're living out of all these different people, now you're saying, you got to renounce this, and all the flailing is that person's system under siege, trying to get away. It's not demonic.
Right. They're just, you're attacking their defense mechanisms.
Exactly.
You're attacking their coping mechanisms.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it's the wrong target.
Exactly. But that person comes away feeling spiritually abused.
It's from Brad, and this question's about the Fern and Audrey episode, number 68. The question is about the involvement of demons and watchers in the various contexts that they mentioned in which trauma-based programming takes place: Satanism, sex trafficking, and government experimentation. Mm-hmm. Are watchers and demons involved in all of these kinds of trauma programming, or just the satanic?
Yeah, I can't, speak precisely here for Fern and Audrey or how they would answer this, but and they're the ones that really need to field a question like that. But I'll give you my best guess, having talked to them a number of times. My best guess is that the true demonic / watcher presence or involvement is pretty rare. Again, when I've talked to them, and this came out a little bit on the podcast too, that yeah, we do encounter that, but not that often. The problem is that people can be programmed to believe what's going on, or that this kind of thing is going on when it isn't. In other words, Fern and Audrey, would again be the first to say, look, a person who's been traumatized, whether it's in some sort of ritual context or something else, can be told that, oh, there are these demonic entities that are doing this to you, or that are going to affect your life, that are going to do this, that, and the other thing to you. And that's just messaging. In other words, there's no ontological reality to it in that case. It's just a manipulative tool. So even when people, again, have such stories, again, I think they would say that they can't assume that that's actually what's going on. And to be honest with you, again, based on conversations I've had with them, they almost don't care, because, again, their approach to helping people recover from trauma and the different messaging that goes with it, whether there's a an entity, a non-human entity behind it or not, their messaging to the victim, to the survivor, is going to be the same. You need to stop believing lies. And that's what they really focus on, to get people to not believe the lies that they have been told, again, by their victimizer, or that they've been programmed to think in certain situations, or that, again, they're this coping mechanism that they have and that we all have, this dissociation, that lies become part of the way they dissociate from the trauma, again, as a coping mechanism. If a bunch of lies, theological lies, or lies about you as a person are part of that, you need to stop believing lies. So it really doesn't matter to them what the origin point of the lies are on one level. But again, being careful, because I can't speak with any sort of professional competence here like they can, but they're going to say they run into it. But from the conversations I've had with them, they don't make assumptions about such things, and you sort of know it when you see it. You know it when it manifests, but it's not normative. In other words, to be, I don't know, this might bother some people, but they don't have a Frank Peretti view of reality here. It's not that there's a demon lurking behind every rock or under every rock, behind every tree. There's not a demon that is at the root of all your behaviors, of all the things that you believe, the lies that you believe. In most cases, it's not. It's programming, and it's really the origin of the programming and the system of programming, the method of programming that varies and can include this element. But again, really, the way you get tracked back from that, the way you get healed from that, no matter what the point of origin, the approach is going to be the same. I mean, if there are entities involved, then they're going to run into some other difficulties and whatnot. But I think that's probably the best I can do with this question. Not being on the same, not being at anywhere near the level of expertise that they have, but all of that is based upon conversations I've had with them, and where we've sort of talked about the same question.